So this really started as a journey when I started to look at globally how is access to power. And what I realized is today there are 733 million people around the world that don't have access to reliable power. This not only creates problems for watching Netflix, but for people around the world, for food insecurities, whether it's livelihood insecurities. That became a huge concern for me as we see where the trends are. We have electrification, whether it's EVs, your Lime scooters, data centers. There's more power that's being demanded in the urban capitals versus the power that's being supplied to the rural as well as the developing worlds. So this got me thinking that if we have to look at the world beyond, where farmers in developing countries such as India are one crop cycle away from being in financial poverty. What used to be once in a decade event is now happening on a yearly basis, whether it's drought, whether it's hurricanes, floods, how that acceleration of climate change is affecting. Not only that, in most of these rural areas, you have power barely for 2 hours a day. How are you supposed to do irrigation? How are you supposed to run schools or other devices? And all that leads to is farmers have to sell their crop as is. They cannot add any value to it by either processing it or refining it. And this is a problem that today we do have the technology. There are 8 billion people in the world. How do we solve that problem for the powerless? And not just adding solar panels to the top of their roof is going to be an answer, because a lot of places require power to move. So we started to look at, well, how do we look at local technology? How do we manufacture this locally? Not only just manufacture, but then be able to repair it as well. So if you see the structure out there, it's a simple but yet effective structure. Lastly, it has to be able to be moved. It has to be able to go into places. And that's essentially what we've done. We've been able to create this folding solar structure that you can take into the remote parts of whether it's rural India or in the Traverse City in the back countryside, and be able to power multiple different components. So here we actually had it have deployed in a village in India to power their schools. We even on Saturdays take it down to power the farmers market. And it's as simple as you're seeing of being able to open it, flip the panels up, and off you go. The biggest component of this is access to power for farming, for irrigation, where today the farmers would just wait for the rains and that is the entire crop they would do in an entire year. Now they have access to power for multiple different crop cycles. So not only do we prevent them from going and renting generators, which is sometimes $2,000 to $3,000 per year, but we are also preventing that amount of gasoline, which is 1,000 liters or 1,000 gallons per year, from being put into the carbon, or the carbon being put into the atmosphere. So not only are we helping save the environment, but we are also providing access to power. But we didn't just stop there. With the age of everybody talking about AI, well, the product is called ALSET, so we have our own ALSET intelligence. And for this, we actually looked at, since the unit is out in the sun, what other data can we help the farmer with? You have irrigation, you have humidity, you have wind directions. Further, if you think about the urban landscape, we can actually measure pollution, PM, whether it's 2.5, 10, direction of where that pollution is going to flow next, as well as noise level. So we actually partnered with Ganther Instruments to be able to document all of this. And by the way, that's from today morning, the dashboard that you're seeing, that's measuring pollution as trucks drive by, as we speak, how the decibel levels change. How does that affect school zones? How does it affect construction zones? We're able to deploy as easily as picking it up in a trailer and take it wherever it's needed. So this opens a huge opportunity. Just if I look at India alone, that's a $600 billion untapped rural potential. Now, if I zoom out, it's not just India. This is by the World Bank on which are the countries that today have a power deficit. India is one, but there are a large number of countries within Africa that have already reached out and invited us to come and demonstrate the product there. Closer to home, being here in Detroit, we've actually taken that same trailer out for techno festivals and outdoor Shakespeare concerts, because earlier they could not have the generator nearby. They would end up having to do the plays in closed doors. Now we can actually have silent power accessible for music festivals, for art festivals, and in this case, Hamlet. So what we are trying to do is bring access to power where you would not have an infrastructure, you would rely on generators, and improve farming, whether it's your daily life, whether it's your backyard home project, or overall, we want to improve livelihood. So that's our product, and this is what we are doing. If you have any questions, please catch me. Thank you.
Let's give it up again for Thought Labs.